Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, hour number 3, Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us. By the way, we're also streaming live on our YouTube page, The Vegas Take. We're on Facebook, The Vegas Take, Twitter at The Vegas Take, Instagram. We're everywhere, man. So check us out, and ever growing.
And our new website is state of the art. It's fantastic. We've got a team of about 10 writers who are transcribing our segments, summarizing them, and turning them into articles as well. So check that out, www.thevegastake.com.
Absolutely. Awesome website. All right, so we've talked a lot on this show over the course of the last year or so about this Covington incident. If you recall, a bunch of these kids from Covington Catholic were wearing their MAGA hats, and all of a sudden the Hebrew Israelites, which is, in my opinion, a hate group, they're screaming obscenities at them, saying threatening things to them, and then you have this man of Indian descent who I guess he's kind of a radical himself. He's beating the jums, and then this kid Sandmann is standing right next to him, holds his ground with this stupid smirk on his face, and then they, some of the media outlets were reporting that this kid was acting inappropriately and escalated the situation. It happened for about a day or two. My understanding is he and his family got some death threats, which should never have happened. But then they hire an attorney and they sue for hundreds of millions of dollars, which I thought was utterly ridiculous because I didn't think him or his family deserved a dollar. That's just my personal opinion. And you don't de-escalate a situation by smirking, by having a smirk on your face. You de-escalate a situation by either walking away, and they didn't do that. And in fact, there are kids in the background in this video that are laughing and joking around and having fun with it. So Jason Stein is our producer. He wants to give us an update on this story and lawsuits that are still taking place. Jason, what can you tell us about this story?
Well, Nick Sandmann is his name. He's the student, and him and his friends were on a field trip to the nation's capital for some kind of anti-abortion rally, and they were wearing their MAGA hats, and things got very confusing. He ended up, like you said, being confronted by this man named Nathan Phillips, a Native American man. And the picture that was seen around the world was Nathan Phillips, the Native American man, banging a drum in front of these students. And, of course, Sandmann, what's his name, Nick Sandmann?
Yep.
Yeah, Nick Sandmann with a smirk on his face. Now, that photo, as I said, was seen around the world on every newspaper, on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News even. But the problem is that as far as Sandmann is concerned, his lawyers are concerned, that the coverage by some networks, including CNN, rose to the level of slander, that they painted him in a light that wasn't true. And you know what? The courts agreed, because CNN has now settled a $275 million lawsuit. Now, we don't know how much Sandmann got. That has not been disclosed. It's not; those things are usually not disclosed. But he sued CNN, sued Washington Post, CNN, and NBC for a total of $800 million.
Ridiculous.
The CNN portion of the lawsuit has been settled. That portion was $275 million. So CNN's you don't pay that kind of money. You don't settle.
Well, we don't know how much money
there's not something to it, right?
Smoke to this fire. I think they paid between $2.5 and probably $15 million. His mother was getting death threats at her job. They're requesting that they fire. This kid was young. What if he was a smart kid? What if he wanted to be a lawyer? I mean, what's opportunity cost? What's he missing out on if he does? I mean,
that's ridiculous. He can still be a lawyer if he wants to be.
He was defamed. He was defamed in the media for this, 100%.
What are the damages now?
It's not like he punched the guy in the face. He smirked, Brian. Come on, you can't handle
the
a
media
smirk.
wanted to paint him as a racist.
Exactly.
A racist Trump supporter.
That lasts for a long, long time, especially if he's in an area where Trump isn't liked.
My opinion on what took place that day has not changed, and here's my opinion of it. First of all, I never called this kid a racist. He did an interview saying that he tried to de-escalate the situation. If somebody gets in your face and is a protester, the best way to handle the situation and de-escalate is to be a foot away from his face and smirk. I'm not saying he broke the law, but that is a lie. He was not trying to de-escalate.
He didn't step up in his face. He stepped.
I understand.
So what was he supposed to do? Run away?
Here's what I would do.
Was he supposed to run away because he was on the black Hebrew Israelites' turf because it was his home turf?
I will gladly give you
a public park, Brian.
I will answer your question. what was he supposed to do?
Yes.
In my personal opinion, by the way, there were adults there as well.
Okay, what if he had smiled instead of smirk?
I'm answering your question. What I would have done to de-escalate that situation as an adult, even with kids there, I would have said, okay, everybody, we're going to move to another landmark so that nothing. Here's the problem with situations like that. You don't know if somebody has a weapon, somebody has a gun or a knife. Something can escalate. Obviously, these Hebrew Israelites are being jerks. They're saying horrible things. To de-escalate a situation is not, in my personal opinion, is not to stand your ground and have a smirk on your face. To me, a de-escalation means walk away. Doesn't mean he had to. Doesn't mean the law said he had to. I'm not saying he broke the law. But don't you tell me that this little pipsqueak doing all these interviews, who's now a millionaire, and I see people on the streets of Las Vegas. I see those kids who lost their mother and their grandmother who died in a car accident. They're probably not going to see $1. I know people that have been hit by drunk drivers that have lost limbs, and they're lucky if they get $5,000. And you're telling me this little pipsqueak, because he and his family had to go through some difficult times for maybe 24 to 48 hours, they deserve millions and millions of dollars. It's crap. It's bull crap.
It wasn't 24 to 48 hours, Brian. This is going to be with him for no. It's not an police situation.
Give me a break. It's going to be with him forever.
Absolutely,
it's
will be.
over. The guy can,
of course.
He comes from a white privileged family. He can do whatever the hell he wants to do. If he wants to be a lawyer, he can be a lawyer.
I'll tell you this, Brian,
hold on a second. Nobody's going to stop him.
Do you have any idea how hard it is to sue a news network and make money
That is
off
not
of it?
the point I'm trying to make.
To me, the fact that they settled for we'll call it $10 million. It wasn't
You're telling me that in
it wasn't 50.
You're telling
this
me
is a bad sign for media moving forward.
You're telling me.
I think that now Donald Trump is going to try to sue some media outlets, and I would if I were him based on what's happened in the last couple of years. Why is that absurd?
You're telling me that in 3 or 4 years, when this kid graduates college and he wants to be somebody like an attorney or a doctor, you're saying somebody's not going to give him a job because of that? That is absurd. That is ridiculous.
No,
that kid, there are no damages.
Not a J-A-A-A-B, a job, Brian, a occupation.
Ridiculous. That is absurd to think that way. And by the way, if somebody does do that for those reasons, they can be sued for it. It's not going to happen, okay? The family suffered for a few days. Hey, guess what? Next time something escalates and next time you're in a situation where you don't feel safe, don't stand your ground and have a smirk on your face.
Just run away.
No, I didn't say.
Because Brian can't handle smirks.
I didn't say.
Because smirks mean war.
Okay, but let me ask you something. What if somebody there had a gun?
Had he punched this guy in the face a couple of times? Had he physically attacked him?
What if somebody
he was standing there with a smirk on his face?
What if somebody there had a gun?
What if he had smiled?
You're not listening.
Would you have a problem if he smiled instead of smirking?
What if somebody there had a gun or a knife? You still think that Mr. Sandmann de-escalated the situation by standing there with a smirk on his face? You think that's the appropriate behavior if you're in a volatile situation? If somebody gets within a foot of you and you pose, you think that they're posing a threat to you, you think to de-escalate a situation, you put a stupid smirk on your face and you stand your ground while your friends behind you are laughing? That's just de-escalating a situation?
Exactly. He was standing in his spot. That's not de-escalation. He did not walk up to him.
That is not de-escalation.
The situation was brought to him. Again, these guys were in a public park. It wasn't their black Hebrew Israelite grounds. It wasn't their turf.
You defend this kid getting millions of dollars and being set for life because of a couple days of going through some hard times? That is absurd.
I'll tell you what I defend. I think that the media is capable of painting anyone however they want to, and they should be held accountable for it.
And I came on this show the day after.
And I've been painted as a specific thing by the media before in the past, and I'm happy that this happened. And I think it should happen more because the media with Google and with their ability to just put information in your face, they can do whatever they want.
For the record,
and they have not been held accountable. So I'm glad they were finally held accountable for this.
For the record, and by the way, we'll take some phone calls on this at 702-257-5396. Again, if you want to be a part of this program, what do you think of CNN settling out of court? We don't know how much money they gave the Sandmann family, but they did settle out of court. What do you think of this? 702-257-5396. For the record, I will say this. The day after this incident happened, and I watched the video, I said, we need more information. I didn't make an assumption. And I didn't say that this kid was a racist because he was wearing a MAGA hat. In fact, I didn't say anybody there was a racist. I needed more information. And when I got that more information, I realized that the Hebrew Israelites were the ones that started this thing. I said that right away.
Okay,
but I also said this. I also said that if you are de-escalating a situation, we're talking de-escalation, the best way to handle that is not to stand your ground and with a smirk on your face, because that is just going to agitate the agitators themselves more. So when this kid does an interview and he says that all I wanted to do was de-escalate the situation, no, you didn't. Your friends were laughing in the background. You had a smirk on your face. You thought it was funny. That is not de-escalation.
So why do you think that CNN settled this lawsuit, Brian?
First of all, we don't know how much they paid them, but it's for one simple reason. They have money. They want the story to go away.
Because they actually did something wrong, and they were recommended to settle it by their attorney, who I'm sure is an extremely expensive, probably $3,000 to $5,000 an hour attorney.
Okay, so let me ask you a question then, and we'll take some
Clearly, somewhere in the reporting of this situation, they either painted this kid as a racist.
Well, Fox News.
They put his family in a compromising situation. They did something wrong, and that's why they're settling, Brian.
So let's see.
That needs to be discussed.
So let's see if it goes both ways then. Let me ask you this question, and then we'll take some phone calls at 257-5396. For 5 years, Donald Trump said that Barack Obama was not born in this country, okay? Completely unfactual, not true. In fact, Fox News reported on that as well. Do you think that Barack Obama deserved to sue Donald Trump and Fox News?
He could probably file a lawsuit for that for slander.
You would be okay with that?
If he can prove that it actually has affected him negatively, then he could definitely do that. That's how the law works.
So you would have been okay with that lawsuit? You think there would have been merit to that lawsuit?
I actually would be okay with that, yeah, under the circumstances.
Fine, fair enough. I just don't want to see all these lawsuits.
Well,
Hold on, let me explain why. When I see these people on the streets of Las Vegas that maybe you lose a family member to a drunk driver, they lose a limb, they lose an arm, and they get maybe $5,000.
If he was alive and he had any type of net worth, they would get every single dollar of it.
Not true. Not true.
That is absolutely true.
No, not true because
100%.
because I have personal attorneys myself who tell me they've represented people that have been hit by drunk drivers that have lost legs and arms, and they're lucky to get $5,000. So that is 100% not true. But let's see what you guys think out there. Do you take JD's side? Do you take my side on this Sandmann situation? The number to call 702-257-5396. Let's start off with Tim. Tim, thanks for calling in. What do you make of this situation?
What's up, Tim?
I don't necessarily agree that this young man should, get $5, $10, $15 million, whatever they settled for. Although, in terms of the bigger picture, I think the mainstream media had it coming to them. This had to happen. MSNBC, CNN, the Washington Post, for the last 4 years, has been race baiting, attacking people, painting them in a different light than they should be, and frankly, just lying. And I think just this sends a message to them that, hey, you got to report the truth, and you can't just make up lies to push your particular ideology.
Okay, well, I'll say to this. Let's just say the Sandmann family got $20 million. I would have been okay if that $20 million went to our troops, veterans. I would have been okay if that $20 million went to help the homeless. I am not okay with that kid and his family and their family set for life because they might have been a little inconvenienced and slandered for a couple days. I think that's ridiculous.
And I agree with you on that point.
Okay, so then we both agree. Then we both agree. Listen, if CNN paid out $20 or $30 million, let's help the homeless. Let's help some people that really need that money.
It was a precedent move. Because, again, this guy's the caller is totally correct, and I've been saying this.
So you're okay with that kid being set for life for being inconvenienced for a few days?
He's the one that happens to be enriched for it. Now, does he have the best case? Does he have the best case? No, but it needed to happen at some point, and it's going to keep happening in the future. The media needs to be held accountable, and I'm happy that they were.
Okay, so let's hold Tucker Carlson accountable for saying the idea of white supremacy is a hoax when we had a white supremacist who killed 22 people in Texas, El Paso. If we're going to hold them accountable, let's hold everybody accountable.
I will say this. Something like this happening does open up that door for one of those families to sue Tucker Carlson for saying that.
Let's sue Laura Ingraham for going after David Hogg.
And what it does is it forces the media to be more accurate in their reporting, which is a good thing long term for the country.
There's reporting and then there's opinions. Those are two. You have to distinguish the two.
Okay, they're reporting their opinions, whatever they say, whatever they project
in my opinion,
to a massive audience,
and maybe his attorney
via their giant platforms.
Go ahead and let his attorney sue me for $200 million. That kid is a whiner. That kid lied in that interview when he said he was trying to de-escalate the situation. Those were words that his parents and his attorney told him to say. You don't de-escalate a situation with a smirk on your face and not stepping away or getting out of a situation. You don't de-escalate a situation when your friends are in the background in the video laughing.
Brian,
laughing.
The smirk has nothing to do with anything.
2-5, yes, it does. That's not de-escalation.
Okay, what if he smiled?
It means he didn't take what was happening seriously.
Okay, what if he smiled?
It means he wasn't de-escalating.
So
he's a liar.
If he smiled, it would be worse or the same as the smirk. Or would that be okay with you?
You know what would have been okay with me is if he took a couple steps back and, and an adult there who did nothing said, guys, let's move to another area. We got to take more calls.
Taking a step back from a 60-year-old or a 50-year-old man
don't care how old he is.
Beating a drum, part of a black Hebrew Israelite radical group in a public park.
Beating a drum is not against the law.
Right in your face, walking up to you right in your face?
He wasn't an inch away from his face. He was a few feet away, and Sandmann decided to smirk and hold his ground. Let's take some more phone calls at 257-5396. Let's get to Ryan. Ryan, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's up?
What's up, Ryan?
Hey, I agree with JD for the most part. I mean, and let's go to the other side of it. Why is this 50, 60-year-old man getting up in a kid's face? Why doesn't the news blast him for it? Getting into a kid's face.
Let's start.
You know what I mean?
I'll answer your question. Let's start with the Hebrew Israelites, who I've called out for this. They're a bunch of scumbags. I think it's a hate organization. Make no mistake about it. They started this. There's nothing wrong with wearing a MAGA hat. There's nothing wrong with standing there. Those kids weren't doing anything wrong. The only point that there's 2 points I'm trying to make, Ryan. Number one, I don't think you deserve millions. I don't think this family deserves millions of dollars. Donate it all to charity. Number two, I don't believe that a de-escalation is somebody with a smirk on his face while his friends are about 10 feet behind him laughing. That's not de-escalation to me, and that kid lied because his family as an attorney told him to do that. That's the only point I'm trying to make. I'm not defending the Hebrew Israelites. I'm not defending this man who was beating a drum. I think he's a moron and he needs to get a life. With that being said, that kid didn't de-escalate anything. Ryan?
I mean, if I was out in a protest or doing whatever they were doing, and some guy came up to me, would I back down? Would I really back off, or would I stand there because
depends on the
this guy's
situation.
coming up to me? That doesn't mean I'm escalating it. It means I'm just standing there.
But it doesn't mean you're de-escalating. I'm
going to let this idiot do his thing in my face.
Okay, but that
might laugh at him because I think it's moronic.
Okay, that's
But
fine.
does that mean I'm escalating?
No, but it doesn't mean you're de-escalating either. Get the point I'm trying to make? It's not de-escalating.
So de-escalating means putting yourself out of it and basically turning yourself into a coward and removing yourself from the situation.
De-escalating means putting yourself in a position where you're more safe. And if those kids felt threatened, which, by the way, I don't buy for a second because many of them were laughing.
Wait. If they felt threatened, why would they feel threatened?
They claim they did. That's why. Have you not read the quotes?
Okay.
These kids have said that they felt threatened. If they felt threatened and watch the video, they're laughing.
So
many of them are laughing.
This is all about this kid was standing there. He was approached by a black Hebrew Israelite radical. He is smirking while this person, because he's probably like, why is this guy, because I would think it was kind of funny, why is this 50-year-old man sitting down beating a drum in my face? What's he doing? Is it possible that he just thought it was funny? Is that okay? Is that okay to think a situation like that is funny?
I'm going to tell you something. If I'm in a situation where I feel threatened and I can be put in harm's way, the last thing I'm going to do is smile and smirk. And the last thing I'm going to do...
You're going to run away?
Did I say run? Let me tell you something. I'd rather run away than get hurt or possibly knifed or killed. You don't know if somebody has weapons in that situation. I'll tell you one thing I wouldn't do. I wouldn't hold my ground and smile. Okay, 257-5396. Let's get back to the calls. Let's go to Lauren. Lauren, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
What's up, Lauren?
I'm sorry. I think you're out of line. As far as de-escalating the situation, the whole thing started with the Israelites,
which I've said about 30 times.
I understand, but I mean, some guy walks up to you,
mm-hmm.
and you're being cussed out by the Israelite guys, and then this guy's coming up and he's beating his drum in your face,
mm-hmm.
and who is an activist?
Yes.
I mean, how old is this kid? Was he 16 at the time when it happened?
He's old enough to know. And by the way, there were adults there.
Is he 16?
He was a minor. He was definitely a minor.
And 16 is.
And he was a minor. Now,
mm-hmm.
now, I have 8 kids. All of them have different personalities.
You have
some
8 kids?
Some are going to get right in your face, and some are going to stand back.
Yeah.
And in today's society with Facebook and everything else, it has a tremendous effect on your ability to earn money in the future.
Can I ask you a question?
Especially for kids.
Let me ask you a question, Lauren.
Sure.
You have 8 kids, correct?
Yeah.
You said? Okay. So let me ask you a question. If one of your kids, all of your kids, are in a situation that could be a volatile situation where you have a group of people that are screaming out obscenities and threats, which is what the Hebrew Israelites, my understanding, were doing. Would you tell your kids if somebody is beating a drum and people are yelling out obscenities maybe 1 foot or 2 feet away from your kids, would you tell your kids to do one of two things? Would you tell them to stand their ground and smile while their friends laugh in the background? Or would you tell your kids to maybe back up a few steps and find another place to hang out? What would you tell your kids? I think it's a simple question.
Well, I know you think everything's simple.
Well,
everything is cut and dry with you.
Can you please answer that question?
That's a very good point.
No, personally, I don't think that not knowing exactly how the situation, other than what we heard on the news.
I just gave you the situation, and I asked you a very simple question.
Okay. I don't think that I felt like the kid was blindsided. That's the way that I felt.
I didn't ask you if the kid was blindsided. I asked you a very specific question when it comes to
No,
your kids.
depending on the situation.
And I just gave you the situation.
What I feel I could handle,
Okay.
depending on my age.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about your kids. If you could please answer the question.
I am answering the question. I have kids from 40 to 12.
Okay, so what would you tell a 16-year-old, which was his age, one of your kids, would you tell them to stand their ground and smirk while their friends in the background are laughing if it is that type of situation? Or would you tell them?
I honestly don't think it was a smirk. I think he was
Oh, my
nervous.
God. All right. Bye-bye. See you later. All right. No. Bye-bye. See you later, Lauren.
And he could have been nervous. Good
His
call,
friends
Lauren.
in the background were laughing. Stop it. I noticed how you didn't answer the question. What a coward. 702.
A coward?
Yeah, he didn't
That's
answer.
unnecessary, Brian. Come
he
on.
didn't
Just 'cause he
answer the
disagrees
question.
doesn't make him a coward.
It's okay to disagree. He wouldn't answer my specific question. And he said, oh, well, you think it's all cut and dry. I gave him a very simple question, and he refused to answer it. And you know why, JD? Because any decent parent would say, if you're in a volatile situation, in a dangerous situation, and you feel like you're threatened, don't stand your ground and smirk. The best thing to do is to take a couple steps back, or in some cases, call the police. 257-5396. Do we have enough time to take one more call, and then we'll take the rest on the other side of the break? Let's go to Janisa. Janisa, thank you for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, Janisa?
Hi, Brian. How are you?
Good. Unfortunately, I only got about a minute, so go ahead.
That's okay. I think that the picture doesn't tell the whole story. I think that that picture was taken in a specific moment in time. And what if after the picture was taken, they did get scared? I mean, you have to think that it is a minor, and I have kids of my own. I have told them that de-escalating a situation doesn't involve confronting someone, but my kids don't listen to me.
Right.
They don't know, you know what I mean? They don't know how they're going to react. You don't know how they're going to react.
I understand, Janisa, and you're right. Some kids don't listen. I take your point there. And you're also right, but the only point I'm trying to make here, I think it's a very simple position.
Brian thinks that he should have been polished and used to,
I don't
to a situation like this, and he should have responded.
Absolutely not what I said.
As if he's been around this before, despite the fact that he's a minor with a developing mind, and he's impressionable, and he's a Trump supporter, and he's being called racist.
Didn't bring up Trump.
And he's in a stressful situation. None of that matters because he smirked and he can't do that.
Okay, well, you said about 10 things that are factually inaccurate, and you're laughing because you know you did. Listen, here's what we're going to do. We have a lot of people on hold. We have one phone line open at 257-5396. I want to give everybody an opportunity to respond on this and your voice on it. 257-5396 is the number to call. Brady, Mark, Richard, Ron, Kevin, John, you're all coming up next. We will take your calls on the other side of the break. Just be patient. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to The Vegas Take on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDAWN. All right, welcome back. It is The Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. By the way, if you missed our interview with right-wing conspiracy theorist Jacob Wall, that was an interesting one. We will be posting that up on our Twitter page, on our SoundCloud page, so certainly check that out. Also, our website, thevegas.com.
I got to tell you, I feel a little more confident that Elizabeth Warren was, actively involved in those things.
Well, we're
after
talking
that conversation.
We'll continue to discuss that. But anyway, this kid Sandmann, what we're talking about is the lawsuit that took place with these Covington kids, and CNN has settled. We don't know how much money they paid this kid. I completely disagree with it, and I think if they are going to accept this money, which I'm sure they will, and I'm sure the attorney will make a lot of money too, which is a joke, let's donate it to charity. Let's donate it to the homeless. Let's donate it to our military. Let's donate it to people that are in need, not a white privileged family for a couple days that was inconvenienced. I don't think that kid de-escalated. I also think the media did make some mistakes, but that happens every single day, and I think it sets a bad precedence. But the phone lines are full, so let's take him at 257-5396, and let's start off with Kevin. Kevin, you are first up. What's going on, my man?
What's up, Kevin?
Yeah, I can't believe that they're CNN settled with this brat. This kid was just totally wrong, and but the thing of it is, it sets a precedent. Fox News will be next up because it's Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham, the terrible things that they do to people, turning these kids into victims.
Yeah.
JD, I would even be careful yourself because some of the things that you said about Trayvon, or you guys have said about Trayvon Martin, you guys all should watch your backs now because there's a target on you now. These people are going to come after you guys now because.
Wait, hold on. What have I said? Hold on, Kevin.
Trayvon Martin?
What have I said about Trayvon Martin that you think is inappropriate?
No, well, you paint him as a thug anyway. But we're not going to get into that. You paint Trayvon as a thug now, and that he wasn't a victim. And so
I never said he wasn't the victim. I never made that statement.
No, neither did I.
I think he did. I think you guys said that he wasn't such an innocent kid. He wasn't the victim.
Okay,
here.
Kevin, you could think what you want. It's a horrible situation, and I don't want to get in the weeds here. I feel horrible for his family. That kid, the kid did not deserve to die. With that being said, George Zimmerman, in my personal opinion, did not commit murder. That's my opinion.
And those questions will come up time and time again. But I'm just going back to this kid. You know, this school. If you look them up, they have a racist history of even posting of blackface while during basketball
at a basketball game.
These kids are no innocent little kids.
I didn't say they were innocent, Kevin. If you've been listening to the show, I am defending some of what you are saying. I appreciate the phone call. Yeah, I hear you, Kevin. I understand.
This kid was totally wrong.
Listen, I agree, Kevin, that this settlement is ridiculous. Obviously, a lot of people are going to disagree with you. But to say we would have a target on our back because I don't believe George Zimmerman committed murder is also ridiculous. I think we have to be fair here. It is one thing to have an opinion. If you have an opinion, it doesn't mean that you should have a target on your back. I think that is also a very dangerous precedence that you said.
He actually pointed me out and said that I said Trayvon Martin was a thug. Never said that once in my life.
No, but I do think Trayvon Martin was a troublemaker. I think Trayvon Martin, I don't want to go into the weeds here with Trayvon Martin.
It appears that he had a bit of a troubled past.
Yes, he did. 257-5396. Let's go to Brady. Brady, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
What's up, Brady?
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen. If Nick Sandmann was my son, I would be a very proud father because if that Indian that came up banging the drum and he was protesting Columbus and he was Indigenous Day, for them Indian people that go protest Columbus Day, and that guy walked up to my son like that, I would have told my son, you grab that guy's drumstick and you wrap him upside the head if he ever gets that close.
So this shows.
And Brady, he would have not won a lawsuit under those circumstances. Okay. So your son would have got nothing out of it.
All right. So let's. All right. So let's try to. Let me just respond.
That could have been a massive, massive loss. multi-million-dollar decision.
Let me respond
Brady,
to what. Let me respond to what Brady just says. First of all, it's not them Indians; it's those Indians. So why don't you speak third grade grammar? Number one. Number two.
Good one, Brian.
Number two. You are telling your child to commit physical assault. Thank God you don't have kids because there'd be more dumb people in the world like you.
Brian, and I tell my kid to defend himself.
To commit assault. So if
hit him upside the head and knock him out of your.
So you're telling me. So it is your position that you think Sandmann should have committed assault on this man. Is that what you're saying?
I said he should have taken the drumstick and wrapped him upside the head.
Which is assault, you dumbass. Get Brady off the show, you idiot. What a dummy.
That is definitely like the basic definition of assault.
What a dumbass you are, Brady.
And it could be argued to be with a deadly weapon or some type of object.
I feel sorry for your kids that their father is such a dummy. What a moron you are. And it's not them Indian, it's those Indians, you idiot.
Brady, great call.
257-5396. Let's go to Mark. Mark, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
What's up, Mark?
Mark, are you there? 257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to David. David, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, David.
Yeah, I just want to comment on the settlement. I think the family was deserving of it based on the evidence, and apparently CNN felt the same way or they never would have paid it.
We don't know what they paid, though. And you would agree, David, not to quote Bill O'Reilly, but when Bill O'Reilly has been talked about, did you ever commit sexual assault? Did you, his response has been, no, I did not. And in the courtrooms, just because you pay off a settlement doesn't necessarily mean that you admit that you did anything wrong. Donald Trump would say that as well, by the way.
And so would Cristiano Ronaldo. So would a lot of different athletes and celebrities that have been involved in situations like this.
What we do know is that CNN wanted this story to go away. That's what we know for sure.
Well, sure they did, because it made them look bad, and it goes for all the news outlets that jumped the gun on the whole story and made the kid look bad. And I don't know if you saw the stories after that, but his family was threatened with their life.
I understand.
And they
I understand that.
threatened to set problems at the school.
I understand that. And David, make no mistake about it. Nobody should ever be threatened with their life unless they are a murderer or a felon. But let me ask you this, David.
And I think the biggest thing was his mother, who actually had a pretty good job. She was basically. A lot of people were emailing her boss and saying that she should get fired. And if that's the case, say she's making $150,000 a year and she's been there for 15 years. And she gets fired. I mean, that's 1.2 to or that's 1.5 to 3 million right there, assuming that she has a 20-year shelf life for a career.
David, let me ask you this: are you a Donald Trump supporter? Or are you a Republican? And I'll explain why I'm asking that question in a second. But are you a Trump supporter?
I am.
Okay, so let me ask you that. Fair enough. Let me ask you this question, David. For 5 years, Donald Trump went on all the media, all the Fox News, CNN, MSNBC. He made the rounds for 5 years, and he said Barack Obama was not born in this country. Okay, he referred to him as Mr. Hussein. For 5 years, he defamed Barack Obama. Do you think Barack Obama has a case for suing Donald Trump?
Well, anybody has a case if they want to take it to the court.
That's not what. But do you think that Donald Trump defamed Barack Obama and hurt him by doing that for 5 years?
No.
So it's okay. So in your opinion, it's okay for somebody to defame somebody else if it fits your political agenda. Is that what you're saying?
No, because it's two different subjects.
No, it's not. No, it's absolutely not. It's the exact same thing. Donald Trump went after Barack Obama with things that were not facts. CNN went after the Sandmann family for things that were not facts. It's the exact same thing. No, goodbye. Goodbye.
A good call, David.
I gave you an opportunity to be fair, and if you gave me an answer like JD gave me, well, he would have had the right to sue. And
he would have had the right. I'm not sure if he would have won. He'd have to prove damages. In this case,
it could have been.
Sandmann and his family clearly can. It would have been more difficult for Barack Obama, too.
But you understand why I asked him that question.
I get it.
If you want to take the side of both and say, listen, Trump shouldn't have done that. He could have been sued. He could have lost. CNN shouldn't have done that. That's why. Then I don't have. Fine. At least you're consistent on your opinions. But I asked this guy who calls in, who clearly is a right-wing hack. I asked him, what about Donald Trump when he went after Obama for 5 years, saying something that was completely inaccurate? And his response is, no, he didn't do anything wrong. Sorry, but you are completely 100% not credible. 257-5396. Let's go to John. John, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What is going on?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Hey,
Good.
John.
Okay, well, here's the thing. CNN is the adult in that relationship. They screwed up. They didn't do their due diligence. And obviously they settled. Why would they settle? Because they looked at it and go, we probably can't win it. So they settled.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are saying something about, I don't care what color the kid is, white, black, or green. I don't care what color his family is. They won.
Okay, can I ask you this, though? What about the adults that were there, the supervisors? Do you have anything to say to them?
Sure. Here's the thing. I've seen adults just freeze. They just don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't.
Yes,
you
I
think
agree.
They do. They don't.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
They had no idea. Do we do this? Does it escalate? Let's go.
Can I ask you a question, John? Do you have any kids?
Nope.
Okay, neither do I, John. So we have that. We have that in common, by the way. Let's just say you did, hypothetically, and your kids are going to a school and they're on a field trip, right? And all of a sudden, there's a group of people, in this case, the Hebrew Israelites, which are a bunch of scumbags, make no mistake about it. They're shouting things at your kid, they're yelling obscenities, and they're a threat to your child. Let's just say there are adult supervisors there. Would you want those adult supervisors to keep those kids in that environment? In fact, in this case with Sandmann, having kids laughing and joking around and stand your ground? Or would you want that adult supervisor to say, you know what, let's get out of this situation, let's go to a different area away from these people?
I would imagine that you'd want them, I would agree. I'd want the adult supervisors to do something.
There you go. I think the adults need to be held accountable.
But once it's reported by CNN, they're supposed to be better than that.
I understand. Listen, I'm not.
You know what? And they deserve to lose the money.
Okay, I understand.
You were talking about Trump.
Okay, I understand, and I'm glad we agree on that. But my point is that kid did not de-escalate. That's number one. And number two.
He doesn't know how. He's 17 years old, man. I've seen kids do. No, I've seen kids 17 years old.
Okay, well, guess what?
No, 16-year-old kids have to be perfect.
I'm not perfect, but when I was 16 years old and somebody got in my face and people were yelling obscenities at me, I wouldn't have stood there and smiled.
You would have ran away.
Well, if you were nervous and you were scared, you would.
When I'm nervous and scared, I disagree.
You know what was in that kid's head? I don't, and
Well,
neither do you.
You know what? And speaking of that, one of a guy, he's got a show at night. It's called Sports X Radio. His name is Ken Thompson. He wanted to call in, but he decided to send me a text instead. And he told me that I used to smirk every time my stepmother went to hit me. It was a nervous habit, and she used to get pissed.
That's why Ken Thompson might have a stutter, like Joe Biden used to have. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Richard. Richard, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Richard?
Hey, yeah, I think the kid should absolutely go forward with these lawsuits, and it's not about him getting rich. It's about the news media that lied about him doing damage to him. And yeah, absolutely, the kid got death threats. His family got death threats, and it was because CNN went ahead with a story that they either didn't check out at all or a story that they knew was false.
Okay.
And they went after him because he was a white young male.
And the biggest problem here, well, not only that, but it had, I don't think the white, I think it's the fact that he was wearing a Make America Great Again hat. I think that's why they went after him to push that anti-Trump narrative. And obviously there was some wrongdoing. There was some punitive damages that clearly they were able to get out of it. And the fact that they settled is a big deal.
All right, Richard, so let's get on the other side of this. Let's see if we could be intellectually honest on this. I believe the reason...
Absolutely.
Let's see. Donald Trump went after Barack Obama for 5 years, saying that he wasn't born in this country. I think there's a possibility that Donald Trump did that because Barack Obama is black. Fox News went after Barack Obama for 5 years with that same narrative. There are hosts on Fox News, including Laura Ingraham and Tucker Carlson, that went with the belief that Donald Trump said that Obama was not born in this country. They call him Mr. Hussein. So with that being said, would you feel the same way if Barack Obama decided to sue Fox News and Donald Trump?
If they knowingly defamed him, yeah, I would absolutely say he should go forward with that case.
Yep.
Then I respect your opinion a lot more than I respect some of these other clowns that have called in, Richard. So I appreciate...
Hey, good call, Richard.
I appreciate your phone call. Thank you very much. Listen, guys, we need to be fair. If this is okay to sue CNN, do you know how many ridiculous things some of these Fox News people have said over the course of 8 years, 16 years, whatever? They've called the Clintons murderers, so on and so forth. You need to be held accountable, and I think it's a
well, and by the same logic, how many lawsuits does Donald Trump have against the left-wing media? I mean, 2,000.
It
they
depends.
painted him as a fascist, a racist.
Donald Trump has been sued plenty of times himself.
I agree, but you name it. He's got a giant lawsuit brewing here, especially if he gets impeached.
Okay, let me be clear on this video once more. Watch the video if you don't believe me. These kids in the background are laughing. That is not de-escalation. Sandmann has a smirk on his face. That is not the definition of de-escalation. And if you don't believe me, ask a police officer. If put in that situation, would a police officer say, this is how you de-escalate? Keep the kids there, keep them laughing, and keep Sandmann laughing. That is the opposite of de-escalation. Let's go to Marvin. Marvin, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on? What's on your mind, man?
Hey, what's up, Marvin?
Hey, Brian.
What's
up? Hey, brother. I totally agree with you. I just watched that video on YouTube, and it seems like, Sandmann's group are more disorganized compared to the other group.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, bro, if my kids is Sandmann, I'm gonna tell my kids, you know what? Step back. It's not worth the fight.
Exactly.
It's not worth the fight.
Right.
If you want to de-escalate a threat, you step back.
Step back. Exactly. Yeah. Marvin, why do you think it's – Marvin, you sound like a logical human being. Why is it as a parent yourself, you've heard so many other parents call into this show and are not willing to admit that? I find it amazing.
Because in my opinion, what Sandmann did was stand your ground doctrine. That's what he did.
Exactly.
He doesn't want to, he doesn't want to de-escalate the situation. If he does want to de-escalate the situation, he has all the space behind him and his friends that he can take one or two step back.
Exactly. Marvin, I wish, Marvin, listen, I wish there were more responsible parents out there like you. This is not we're not even talking about the lawsuit, Marvin. By the way, I do appreciate the phone call. We're not even,
good call, Marvin.
We're not even talking about the lawsuit. I'm just talking about de-escalation. I'm just calling this kid a liar. His family's a liar. His attorney's a liar. He's a liar. And the reason being is there is no way that you can convince me or a law enforcement official or a good parent that the best way to de-escalate a situation is to stand your ground and smile while your friends are laughing in the background.
True or false, Brian, when someone agrees with you, they are always logical.
You think it is logical to de-escalate?
I'm asking you that question.
Now I'm asking you a question.
Turning around. Answer my question first.
Do I think that everybody that agrees with me might be? No, of course not.
When someone agrees with you,
I think that was a logical opinion.
They are logical. Why?
I think that was a logical opinion.
Because he agrees with you. Because you share the opinion.
Well, let me ask you this question then. You think if put in a volatile situation, just in any circumstance, where you feel threatened, you think the best way to handle that situation is to not only stand your ground, but to smile? It is a very simple question. And I know you could answer this honestly.
As a 34-year-old male who's been through a lot more than 17-year-old, 16-year-old Nicholas Sandmann, probably not. But in his situation, as a minor, I'm guessing
there were adults there. There were adults there.
I don't care.
I do. There were adults there, and they could have stepped in. Yes, it does.
They're at a public park, and a group of radicals
you already answered the question.
Are basically attacking them for being Donald Trump supporters.
They were verbally attacking them. They were not physically attacking them. Number one. And number two, you answered the question.
They were verbally assaulting them.
You answered the question.
No, at this point, when I have as much to lose as I do right now, would I want to escalate a situation like that? Probably not.
I don't have anything to lose, and I would still take a couple steps back.
I would assess the situation before I did it.
All right. Well,
I'm also a pretty big guy.
Simply put, there were adults there. There were supervisors there, and they did nothing because they are morons. 257.
But the issue is the smirk. The smirk doesn't matter.
Yes, it does.
A smile.
It shows a frame of mind that he was not trying to de-escalate the situation. And by the way, his friends in the background are laughing. So don't tell me they were trying to de-escalate. That is a lie.
They're probably like, what is going on? Why is this person beating a drum in front of us? Why do we deserve this attention? This is very odd.
I hear Trump.
I'm sure they've never seen that before.
I hear the same
and again,
drum.
They're still kids. They're 16-year-old kids. They're in high school, Brian.
I hear the same drum being beat all the time because they were wearing MAGA hats. Trump supporters call in and say, give this kid $500 million. But I guarantee you, if they were beating a different drum and they were wearing Hillary Clinton hats, I guarantee you all of these calls would be different. 257-5396. Let's go to John. John, you're up next on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
What's up, John?
Thank you for the phone call, John. We appreciate that. 257.
Best call of the night.
Let's go to Ron. Ron, you're next up. What's going on?
What's up, Ron?
Hey, how you doing, JB? How you doing, Brian?
What's up, Ron?
Hey, listen, I think both of you made some good points, but what it really comes down to is, slander. Okay, so if it doesn't matter who's wrong or right, really. I mean, if you get a bad, rap, I think the settlement's too much. $15 million. That's a lot. Maybe 3 or 5 million. But I mean, if you're done and nobody will hire you, and being that we're 50-50%, I would say divided, and and people will go, oh my God, it's that kid. Don't give him a job.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Let's say, what if he wants a career in tech? What if he wants to work in San Francisco or California?
Absolutely not.
Who's going to touch this kid? What if he wants to work in Hollywood? What if he wants to be a producer like Mr. X?
You guys
what if his mom is? I mean, Brian, you're not thinking about the opportunity cost here, and that's very real.
Ridiculous. In fact,
how is that ridiculous?
In fact, I think there's a better chance he gets a job.
Brian, listen. I would totally defend you, Brian, if they were slandering you. And you being in radio,
I wouldn't sue for $500 million, and I've had death threats myself. I'm not suing for $500 million. You know where I want to?
I agree with you.
You
Brian.
aim high and you hope to get something.
It's absurd.
You don't need that much to live on.
In fact, I'm going to take. I understand, Ron,
but
but I'm taking the opposite opinion, and I think he actually is now famous, and he has a better chance of succeeding in society because of this incident, not a worse chance.
Well, you're taking the school of thought of any attention is good attention. In this situation, I don't believe that it is.
I disagree with you. In fact, if he applied for a job here at this radio station, I can tell you right now, he'd have a good chance of getting a job here if he works hard in school.
They're conservative, right? They're conservative.
No, I'm saying me personally.
But it would be different if he was a comedian where all the attention matters. That's not the case. This is a 16-year-old kid. You don't know what he's trying to accomplish or what he's trying to do, Brian. You know what? I have a problem. Say the settlement was $20 million. I have a problem with that. But if it was 3.5 to 6 or 7, I'm cool with that because I think that's about where it needs to be.
So we only have
based on what happened.
We only have a couple more minutes left. I want to try to rapid fire, try to get as many calls as I can. Let's go to Eric J. Eric J., what's on your mind? What do you think about this?
Hey, what's up, Eric?
Hey, how are you guys?
Good.
Doing good.
Just listening to your program, I think we forget about the rights of certain people. You said it's a public park. The Black Hebrew Israelites have their right to be there and protest as long as with these kids. And we're talking about de-escalation. No one has the right to push someone out of a public park. And I think that's
nobody
what we're
did that.
forgetting.
No, nobody did that. Nobody was.
Had he turned around and left, he would have done that.
Eric, I am not.
De-escalate, and that means stepping back or
Eric,
giving way to somebody to infringe upon their rights.
Eric,
I'll
never.
leave it at that.
Okay, but Eric, hang on for a second. I never said that any those kids were breaking the law. Did I? This is, to me, this isn't about the law. Here's what it comes down to. It comes down to logic. And when you're in a situation where you don't feel comfortable, or when you're in a situation where you feel you might be being threatened, it's not about, well, I can stand my ground. I'm allowed to be here. The legalities say I'm allowed to be here. No, I don't. You know what? That doesn't go through my mind. You know what goes through my mind, Eric? How do I get myself in a better situation so nothing bad happens to me or my friends?
Well, yeah, I understand, and everyone has the right to appreciate it, but I just think a little bit differently. I just think upon, my rights as being there is just as good
all
as
right.
yours.
Well, I understand what you're saying, Eric, and I appreciate the phone call, but next time you're in a situation where you feel your life is threatened, I suggest you get the hell out of there and don't think about your First Amendment rights. 257-5396. Let's go to another Eric who's waiting patiently on the line. Eric, what's going on?
What's up, Eric?
Hey, how you guys doing today?
Good.
Doing well.
Hey, this is actually one of the first times that I totally agree with Shapiro. And one of the first times that you are talking like a veteran law enforcement officer. I'm actually a combat veteran, was in the military active duty before 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
I also have 20 years in law enforcement.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. All parties in this situation were wrong.
Agree.
They all made poor decisions.
Agree.
And you know what? If it was my kid, he probably would have gotten smacked in the back of the head and told, you screwed up.
Yeah, you're right, Eric.
Take the higher ground, be the bigger person.
And that may be the case, but the way that the media spun this, clearly clearly it hurt Sandmann and his family, and that's why he's being compensated for it.
And you know what? I could ask for compensation all day long. 20 years of federal law enforcement, the things I've seen, the things I did,
I'm sure.
The injuries I received. I could be a 90% disability veteran.
Sure.
I've never even gone to the VA and filed.
Yeah, and Eric, I want people like you to be taken care of, not some kid and his family because for a few days they were inconvenienced and got some threats. But you know what, Eric?
I've been threatened. I've been threatened by gang members.
Exactly.
I've been
You're
threatened by OMG members, all that stuff.
Right. And the thing is, Eric, this is why I'm talking about de-escalation, because guess what? This kid is the one that brought it up in the interview. He said he was doing his best to try to de-escalate. He's full of crap. But listen, man, I really appreciate your phone call, and thank you for your service to this country. And unfortunately, we can't take any more calls. I feel like we've taken about 1,000 of them today. We appreciate it. But, man, there are so many issues that we didn't even get to today that we absolutely have to get to tomorrow. And I promise you we will do that. See, this is what we do on this show. You might agree, you might disagree. Your voice will always be heard on this show unless you say something dumb, like Brady. He does that on a daily basis. But listen, there's a lot
Brady, you need to work on your parenting skills.
Unless you're a moron.
Questionable parenting skills.
Yeah, unless you're a moron who thinks the appropriate way to handle a situation is to physically assault somebody and you can't speak third-grade grammar, then I will call you out on that. Heck, we even had a 25-minute conversation today. You couldn't find a more right-wing conspiracist than Jacob Wohl, but we kept him on for 25 minutes. It's not about agreeing or disagreeing. It's about saying things that are factual, not saying things that are ignorant. We're always probably going to disagree with one another. Sometimes we're going to agree, and that's fine too. But that's the beauty of this show. We do it from a Vegas perspective. I remind all of you that are listening, and I mean all of you, check us out on our YouTube page and subscribe. It is The Vegas Take. Check out our website, which is thevegastake.com. You also want to go on our Twitter page, @TheVegasTake. Promise you're going to want to hear this interview with Jacob Wohl, and we will post that later today on our SoundCloud page. It'll be up there in about an hour or so, and of course on our Twitter page as well. So a lot of platforms on social media to watch us, to follow us, whether you agree or disagree with some of our opinions. I think we got like half and half today. Half the people agreeing with JD, hey, that's the way I like it,
You know
folks.
what? I would say it was more 65-35 million.
Well, you know what? You also say you talk 65-35 more than me too, and I would disagree with that
Well,
also.
that's obviously not
we
true.
We disagree on everything, but it's fine. That's the beauty of this show and doing this show together, and I always enjoy it. All right, folks, we are going to take a 21-hour break. See you bright and early tomorrow morning. Sean Hannity coming up next.